up your engine!
Yes, it's true. Ford is bringing back the Ford Maverick. I had a Ford Maverick in 1970. I paid $550 for it. I drove it from one side of the country to the other and back down again. Hey, a lot of things broke on it. I've kept fixing them. I am a mechanic after all. Even back in 1975 when I bought it as a used car, I was a mechanic, so I knew how to fix things. But I had a lot of fun in that Maverick. Now, of course, it's just the beginning. They're testing them out. They say it's going to be short and low to the ground. You can handle better that way. To me, it looks like it's not going to have much to do with the original Ford Maverick. Just like the Mustang, their electric car has nothing to do with the Ford Mustang. It's an SUV. And this, it looks like, is going to be kind of like an SUV. Nobody knows for sure, but it looks like it's going to be built on a Ford unibody frame, like a Ford Edge. It's going to be more SUV or a tiny truck. It really looks like they're going to be making a compact pickup truck and call it the Ford Maverick. That's a total misuse of the name Maverick. The Maverick was a car. It was like a cheap version of the Mustang. The people that couldn't afford a Mustang, they made the Maverick, which was an even cheaper car. Had a lot of similarities in it. You could get a V8 or a 6 either, just like in a Mustang. Looks like they're going to be making a compact pickup truck and call it a Ford Maverick. To me, that has nothing to do with the Maverick. And again, they're just misusing a name, taking a name that people like Maverick and putting it on a completely different vehicle, which to me is kind of silly because the Maverick was not a pickup truck. And if they're not going to make Ford Maverick pickup trucks, they shouldn't even call them Mavericks. The bed's only going to be 24 to 30 inches, a tiny little bed in the back, which is pretty much useless. So they're taking the name from a car, putting it on a truck, but then making the bed really short so you can't really use it as a truck. Bad enough that the electric Mustang is called Mustang when it has nothing to do with a Mustang. It's an SUV that anybody can see it's an SUV, and they're just putting the name Mustang on it. Here, they're taking the Maverick. I was hoping they would make Mavericks again. Hey, I might have gone out and bought one. Who knows? They're just calling a little pickup truck Maverick. I guess they're trying to pull all stops off because if you look at the sales of Ford Rangers lately, it's been garbage. Their Ranger sales have been going down the toilet. They sell tons of F-150s, the big trucks, but they failed in the smaller trucks. So now they're trying to use the name Maverick to compete against the likes of the Toyota Tacoma that is blowing them away with sales. I don't advise Ford to compete in small pickup trucks against Toyota. The quality is too much differential. And unless they sell these things dirt cheap, competing against the Toyota Tacomas that have such a history of lasting forever. The Rangers and the Tacomas have been going head to head for a long time, and obviously the Tacomas have just kicked their butts and have oversold them by tons now. I guess Ford's trying to dig up a name, stick it on a pickup truck, and call it a Maverick with a small little bed. I don't know, sometimes I wonder what these people on the top are thinking. You know, they're living in a fantasy world and just thinking that a name will sell something. These days, things are a lot different than they were. When I was young, yeah, Ford versus Chevy, you know, everybody's battling back and forth. Well, those days are long gone. Now people are looking for quality that's going to last, and they don't care what the name on it is. I've been working on cars for 52 years. I know my customers. Now, the old guys, yeah, they might be still arguing Ford versus Chevy, but all the young people, they want a dependable bit of transportation that has the electronics in it they want, that's going to last and not break down, and they really don't care what the name is on the outside. So I think Ford's kind of living in the past there, putting the name Maverick on a small pickup truck in a segment that basically they've been failing for quite some time. Now, like I say, the big trucks, F-150s, massive success. Making small ones, just using an old famous name, I don't think that's such a smart move. Well, here we go. Those Takata airbags are still out there. A defective Takata airbag caused the 17th death in the United States. This was a 2002 Honda Civic. Now, this particular airbag was one of the 56 million recalled Takata airbags since 2013. which of course is the biggest recall in U.S. automotive history. In this case, of course, it was the shrapnel that run into shrapnel and killed the person. So me, if I had one of those old ones, I would probably just disconnect it and use a seatbelt. Seatbelts work quite well. Now, this particular car was one of 7 what they call Alpha Honda models from the early 2000s, with the frontal airbags that have a problem with the shrapnel killing people. According to statistics, these Alpha cars have a 50% chance of their airbags failing. 50%. So if you do own one and the airbag hasn't been changed, take it in and get it changed for free. Now, at least 26 people have died worldwide, and several hundreds are injured from these airbag inflators. And the bizarre thing is that nearly all of them are older Honda vehicles. I guess the combination of Takata and Honda didn't work out too well. Now, shortly after this person was killed in Arizona, 2020, Honda settled with 46 U.S. states for $85 million for its involvement in these airbag inflators. The automaker has reportedly known about the defect for years and didn't do anything about it. Takata itself is bankrupt after it was fined $1 billion by the U.S. About 30% of cars in the U.S. that have those have not been repaired. So there's a lot of people out there that have these airbags that have not been repaired. So if you got one, you might go get it repaired, or you might just have a mechanic. Well, most mechanics won't disconnect it because there's too much legal stuff involved. But if you don't want to take it in, you might be better off just disconnecting the airbag, unplugging it, taking the airbag fuse out, leaving it alone. Especially when they're that old, 2002, 19-year-old car. I wouldn't expect it to work then anyways. The problem is they corrode and stuff, and then shrapnel comes out. And of course, the older they are, the more corroded they are, the more they will result in shrapnel because they're old and rusted and then the pieces fly out. Just what you want, old rusted metal flying into your face. So if you got one of those, take it in or just disconnect the stupid thing. Matthew 667 says, I'm looking to buy a used Honda Odyssey. I'm looking at 2010 through 18. Do you recommend them? All right. I don't recommend them for two main reasons. They had horrendous automatic transmissions that broke down. They had problems with the cams on the V6 engines wearing out. You got to replace the engine. And as they age, they have electronic air conditioning problems. I personally would not buy one. If I were you, I'd look at a 2010 to 2018 Toyota Sienna. It's 5 times the vehicle that the Honda is. But if you must buy a Honda, search the years you're looking at and see if those did have transmission problems. Because I know 2010s did. The 18s, maybe not. I wouldn't buy one anyways. The Toyota Sienna vans are built so much better. And it's not like you're saying, well, I want to buy an American product, so I want Ford or Chevy or Chrysler. You know, you're talking about Japanese now already, so why not go Toyota Sienna, which are much better than the Odysseys in the first place. I've Quiz Award says, Scotty, I'm 17, I'm getting ready to buy my first car. Should I buy a 2010 Nissan Maxima or a Toyota Camry? Oh, buy the Camry, it's going to last tons longer. Now, when they were both brand new, they were both excellent cars. The Nissan Maxima rides nice, fast car, it's a little faster than a Camry, but as they age, the Nissans, they become endless money pits. The catalytic converters go bad, the transmissions go out, the engines blow head gaskets. The Camrys don't have any of those problems. So if you're going between a 2010 used Maxima and a 2010 Camry, get the Camry. You're going to have to pay more for the Camry. There's no arguing that, but it's going to last a whole bunch longer. Anthony Zingali says, Scotty, what's more reliable choice for a big 3-row SUV, brand new? Ford Expedition with a 3.5 EcoBoost or the GM Tahoe Suburban Yukon with a 5.3-liter L84 V8? Personally, I wouldn't buy either of those cars. Are both overpriced. I would not buy an Expedition with a V6 engine with the EcoBoost because those EcoBoost engines, as they age, they have problems. Now, if you're the type of guy who buys a vehicle, keeps it for less than 100,000 miles, you could buy either of them and they might be okay, right? If you want it to last a really long time, I wouldn't buy either of those. Now, if you have to and you have no other choice, I'd get the GM with the V8 because the V8 generally is going to last longer than an EcoBoost V6 with 2 turbochargers and GDI fuel injection. That's just how it goes in long life. But as I said, if you're going to pay all that money and you're happy with 100,000 miles, you could probably buy either of them and you might be happy until you decided, well, it's gotten 100,000 miles, I'm going to sell it now, and you'll find out you'll get nothing for it. Then you'll wish you'd listened to me and bought a more quality vehicle like a Lexus, Toyota, or a Honda. Costs a little bit more, but is going to last a lot longer. George Moheagle says, Scotty, I just replaced my front pads and rotors, and now when I drive, I hear a noise coming from the left side when I drive down the road. Seems to be loudest at about 30 miles an hour. It almost sounds like a piece of paper is rubbing against something. What could it be? You changed the pads and rotors. If you bought cheap pads, they're often a little too thick, and you'll hear a rubbing sound. Now you want to jack it up, make sure everything is put on. Right, believe it or not, I've seen that. I knew a guy once, and he put the brake pads on backwards. They will actually fit in a lot of cars backwards, but then you're going to hear rubbing noises because they're in backwards. They will stop the car, but they'll start to make noises. Make sure it was put on right. I did that once with cheap pads on my old Toyota Corolla SR5 decades ago, and the rubbing noise just went, and it went for like 6 months, and then it went away, just as the cheap pad, $9.95 pads back in the day, and I didn't care. They stopped the car, but they did make noise, and then after about 6 months, they didn't. If you do not like noise when you do a brake job, take my advice. Buy Akebono, A-K-E-B-O-N-O. It's a Japanese company, but they make brake pads for all kinds of cars. The Akebono ceramic pads are so well made, you'll pay more. They're like $40 instead of $20. What's $20? They don't make any noise. They stop great, and you won't have any problems. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.